Hello everyone, welcome to another exciting episode of Dayspring Discussions. I'm your host Sean McGahee, and this is a show where we talk about movies, TV, sci-fi, fantasy, comic books. If you geek out about it, we're going to talk about it. You can listen to Dayspring Discussions on iTunes, YouTube, Podomatic, Patreon, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Anchor, wherever, guys. While you're there, go ahead and rate, review, subscribe, then head on over to the Facebook group and Twitter account and join in the discussion. Don't forget dayspringdiscussions@gmail.com for any questions or comments you might have there. Well, hello everyone. It is time for another thrilling edition of Dayspring Discussions Book Reports Star Wars editions. And of course, I cannot do this without the Princess of Alderaan herself, Miss Lisa Locke McGahee.
Hello.
All right, guys. So Lisa has been going through and rereading the Star Wars canon books in chronological order, and we are up to Dark Disciple by Christy Golden. Now, Lisa, tell us a little bit about this book.
Some basic kind of backstory time frame where this fits in. So this book is about, it focuses on the two main characters in the book are Asajj Ventress, who we all have come to know and love from the Clone Wars.
Word.
And Quinlan Vos, who is a new character. He's a Jedi. What?
I'm sorry, he's not a new character.
Where did he come up before this?
Well, he was in old canon before this as well. Plus, he's been in a couple episodes of the Clone Wars.
Was he?
Yeah.
Oh, I do remember. He was in one.
Yeah, he was in a couple of them, but he was a character that was from the old canon that crossed over too.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't read the old canon, so...
Right, go for it.
As in the new canon, he's essentially a new character. Most people who read this are going to have no idea who he is. Anyway, so... This book originated from it was a storyline that was going to appear in the Clone Wars television series. Mm-hmm. But then the show got canceled. Mm-hmm. So they took this story arc and decided to make it into a novel instead. One of the interesting things in this is that this story arc was actually written by Katie Lucas, who is George Lucas's daughter. Mm-hmm. And it does have a little bit, it's kind of an adult theme. I can kind of see in a little bits and pieces why it wasn't in the Clone Wars. I know the Clone Wars got more adult as it moved through.
Yeah, more mature,
More mature as it moved through the series. But, this one definitely has a darker tone. It's a little bit more... kind of risque. It is a love story, ultimately,
yes.
In addition to being about the dark side, about the Sith, about testing yourself and pushing your limits. And, Dooku, the premise of the story is, trying to, basically the Jedi decide to assassinate Dooku. Mm-hmm. And so they send Quinlan Vos to do that, because he's kind of, not a rogue, but he's just kind of one of those Jedis who he likes to do... like stealth missions, they send him kind of undercover a lot.
And that's how his character's always been kind of like a spy type character, mm-hmm. where he kind of teeters on that dark side a little bit.
Yeah, and they didn't make it seem like he teetered from the dark side before they brought him in, but he definitely was somebody who was not opposed to taking a lot of risk. Mm-hmm. So they sent him to befriend Asajj Ventress to try to get her to help him. Because they figured if anybody hated Dooku as much as the Jedi do, it would be Ventress. Mm-hmm. So, the basic premise of the story is Vos going to find Ventress, the two of them forming a connection in terms of also, trying to fight Dooku, but also they end up kind of having a romantic relationship, which spans the book. But the big underlying theme is kind of Ventress making him realize that, to defeat Dooku, you really have to tempt yourself with the dark side. Like, you can't defeat him if you're only using the light. Like, you have to tap into the dark. And so she kind of helps train him, but then it's kind of like this... Where's the line? Does he... It's really interesting. I really enjoyed this book.
Yeah, honestly, it's one of my favorite ones. I love that we're getting to this one right now, too, right as, the Clone Wars is about to ramp up for its ending. And like you said, this was one of the pieces or one of the stories that was supposed to be Clone Wars episodes, but the Clone Wars got canceled. And then they had all these stories and even part of halfway finished episodes that they either released online or they took stories and they put them in other forms. This was one of them, The Son of Dothmir, which is what happens to Darth Maul after Palpatine finds him as well, which I'm, again, curious if they're going to mention that in the last couple episodes when they do the Siege of Mandalore. And again, I'm also curious too, I mean, this is canon, that's canon, and, this is all around the Clone Wars era, so are we going to hear any mention of these events, say in the last couple of episodes within the Clone Wars, especially since Ventress was such a big part of the Clone Wars?
Yeah, I mean, I doubt we will in these. They have a lot to accomplish in these last 4 episodes of the Clone Wars, so I don't imagine that Ventress is going to play into that at all or come into it or be mentioned at all. I mean, technically, I'm not sure exactly how the timeline plays out, but, I mean, by these episodes in the Clone Wars...
This has already happened. Yeah, but, I mean, it's really interesting. There's a lot of... one of the things I find interesting in this is when the Jedi Council is talking about sending someone to assassinate Dooku, Mace was basically the one who was full force wanting to do it, and Obi-Wan was like, no, like, this is not a good idea. But I always thought it was interesting, too, that all throughout, Anakin was all like, yeah, No, Anakin? Really? No.
He was pretty much 100% behind the plan, shocking as that may be. But from throughout the entire thing, Obi-Wan was not, he did not think that was a good idea. And I just think it's kind of interesting to see his reactions to the plan, and as it's unfolding and as Voss is going down his journey, kind of to see then how it affects what happens when Anakin turns,
Yeah, it's one of the things, too. I would say I'm more of a fan. As far as Clone Wars characters, part of my favorite, Ventress is one of my favorite characters that came from the Clone Wars, even though she's one of those characters that was made in the old canon, but as far as, putting her in the series, she's one of my favorites. I like her more than I like Ahsoka. I'll say that. And just her arc throughout all of Clone Wars and how it ends up with this one. I think I want to wait for spoilers here in a few minutes. But, where she comes, she's almost this blind loyalist to Dooku. And then Dooku kind of betrays her or decides to get rid of her. And so she's at that point where she's just trying to survive, by season 5 or, when she sees Obi-Wan and helps him with Maul and his brother, or, when she catches up with Ahsoka at the end of season 5, she's just trying to use the skills that she has to really survive. Of course, she does have a bit of a what do we call it, a gear to grind with Dooku. But again, she's just trying to make her way in the galaxy.
But I think that's what's so interesting about all that we learn about Ventress through watching the Clone Wars, through the the Dooku book that we talked about last week or last time. I'm not sure if that was a week ago. My days are all running together right now. Time is relevant. But I think ultimately what you come to find about Ventress is that all her life she's been let down. She was taken from her people at a young age by somebody who didn't really appreciate her. She thought that person loved her, didn't, was let down. Was brought on by a new master, thought that person cared about her, loved her, again, felt like she was let down. Then she was taken on by Dooku, felt like he really cared about her, appreciated her, was let down. Like, ultimately, every time she gives in and she feels like she has somebody who cares about her, she's let down. So she, like you said, ultimately her entire life has just been her trying to find where she belonged, where she fit, what her purpose was. And I think that's one of the things I like so much about this story is that she kind of finds her place with Voss. She finally finds somebody who she feels like isn't gonna let her down.
Yeah. One thing I was with this too. I think she goes great with Quinlan Voss, of course, too. They're a great pair. And as far as the Clone Wars series, I always thought too. Yes, the main characters, say Ahsoka, she's the Jedi Padawan. But on the flip side of that, I always felt with the Clone Wars, Asajj was the Sith Padawan. And in the series, the two sides of the coin in the series too, which is again why I found her journey paralleling how do you say it?
It
parallels. There we go. Parallels Ahsoka's a little bit too.
Yeah. No, Ventress is definitely. Her and Ahsoka are my two favorite characters in Star Wars. I know you mentioned like you like
in Star Wars or Clone Wars?
No, in Star Wars in general.
Oh, really? Okay.
I mean, you know, Ahsoka's my favorite.
Okay.
But I mean, Ventress is my favorite. I mean, I'm doing air quotes when I say villain, but
one of your favorites, not your favorite though, right? Like obviously Ahsoka's your number one.
well, I mean, Maul's probably my favorite bad guy.
You like
but...
Maul, but also what's her name from Rogue One? You really like her too. Felicity Jones. What's the character's name?
Jyn?
Jyn Erso. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I like Jyn, but she's not one of my favorites.
Okay.
No.
You would put Ventress over her.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I do like Jyn, yes, but Ventress is such an interesting character.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because her journey was longer, more complex.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I mean, I really like the character of Ventress. I think I like the playful banter that she has with everybody.
Oh yeah, she does.
It's very like she's so much like Obi-Wan in that way. How he's always like
no,
just
they're teasing each other. Yeah.
But they do it with other people as well. So it's best when they're doing it to each other. But I mean, they also have that kind of playful banter with everyone that they encounter.
That is true. Now that you mention it, I never thought about that. We're like, her and Obi-Wan are the ones that like to banter. We're like, Ahsoka, Anakin, even Dooku, they don't talk that much.
No, but Obi-Wan always does.
Definitely banters.
And so does Ventress. Like she almost has this like flirtation with everybody that she interacts with, and she does it on purpose. I mean, it's very. I mean, so is Obi-Wan. It's very intentional.
Yeah, to throw him off balance.
Yeah. But I mean, I just really think that all the what you learn about the dark side in this, kind of how she's teaching him, to harness it, to use it, but not to succumb to it. And then I just thought it was really interesting. I think this is a really great novel.
Okay, so guys, now we're going to go to spoiler territory, okay? So if you actually haven't read this and you don't want to get spoiled, go ahead and shut us off. You can come back after you finish the book. The end of the book, man, I mean, first off, the fact that, she's the one that has to bring him back from the dark side. Where, like, he goes to the dark side, gets recruited by Dooku, and she's the one that has to pull him back. I thought was a great, again, her journey, coming, full circle from the beginning of the Clone Wars to this, to ultimately her demise, which was very sad. And I know, again, this was supposed to be a Clone Wars episode, and I'm just very disappointed that we won't ever get to see the death on screen, is what it is. Yeah.
For sure. Well, and I mean, in as much as like it totally fit, like it makes me sad that we don't get any more Ventress.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Like it would have been neat to see what happened, with her, especially after Order 66.
Oh yeah.
Not that she would. I mean, she's not a Jedi, but
yeah, but just what she did afterwards,
right? Like I would have been curious to see where her part in the galaxy would have been after all this.
Mm-hmm. Indeed, it's a sad way to end the character, and but her journey was great, and I really enjoyed it. So I really enjoyed. I mean, this is, I think, definitely one of my top 3 favorites as far as the canon novels.
Yeah, I really like it.
Yeah. And any things you didn't really like about the story, perhaps?
I mean, I don't know, not really. I mean, I think everything they did in it, not really. No, I think everything
solid all around.
Yeah, I really think so. I think this is a good read.
So a definite read. Okay, how would you put it over the ones you've already reviewed?
Quit making me do that.
Come on, you had Master Apprentice, Queen's Shadow, and then also what was the other one? Dooku. Yeah, Jedi Lost.
I think I like this one best of those.
Out of all, okay. So number 1 for this one.
For those, yeah. Okay. Of those 3 that I've already done, this is my favorite.
Okay, well, there you go. Seal of approval, guys. So, if you have not read Dark Disciple and you're still with us, well, I think we spoiled a little bit for you. But if you have, fire back, of course, on the social media groups and Gmail account. Let us know what you think. Next one is Catalyst?
Catalyst.
So
now we're moving into Rogue One territory.
We're getting closer to the original trilogy here, folks. So that is going to be it for us today, guys. Don't forget Star Wars: The Clone Wars this weekend, the Siege of Mandalore. I'm very curious to see if I want to stay up and maybe try to watch the first episode.
When?
Tonight.
When does it come on?
I don't know. I messaged some people on Twitter and be like, hey, what time do the Clone Wars episodes drop? Because if they drop around midnight, that's about the time to go to bed anyway. That's true. As well. But if not, we'll wait for tomorrow. But either way, guys, that is it for us today. I hope you have a good weekend. Go out, enjoy it all. Until next time, may the Force be with us all.